Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Christian, how are you?
I am very good. How about yourself?
Everything is good. Do you want me to call you
Awesome. Good to hear.
Christian or CC? How do you prefer?
CC's fine. Yeah,
CC is
CC's
fine.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I forgot the mic. I was-
Oh, you're okay. No problem.
I have a friend of mine, it's called CC as well. So,
Oh, nice. I'm sure he's awesome.
yeah, he's a musician as well.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's very cool. I'd like to meet him one day.
yeah. Well, maybe when you guys play Portugal in December, you might meet him.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it's our first time playing there, so we're all very excited to go over there for our first time. So
Yeah. And, before we talk about, that tour, you guys are touring the US. How's the tour going so far for you guys?
it's going pretty good. Yeah, it's going really well. The turnouts have been great. It just makes it so enjoyable. The whole touring experience is sharing this with the fans, and just seeing them in the makeup and the t-shirts and everything the fans do for us. It's really nice and really rewarding to go to so many cities, especially we're going to be going to different countries pretty soon. So it's really nice to see all the turnouts. But crowds have been great. We're having fun playing. Band's getting along better than ever, and yeah, everything's going excellent.
Does it surprise how far you guys have come? I mean, when you started, we all have dreams.
Yeah.
But, reaching the point where you guys are, with so many records, with a regular touring, does it still surprise you that you were able to make a living out of it?
It does, and that's why I'm so appreciative of the fans. And I do my personal meet and greets after the shows, and we get a limited time when we do the band meet and greets, and we try to convey as much gratitude to the fans during that time. But we have a long line of the other day we had over 150 people, and so we kind of have to limit our time because we have to start the show on time and stuff like that. But at my personal meet and greets and when I sign for fans, outside the bus and stuff like that, I always try to convey that point on the importance of their support and how much it means to each one of us. And for me personally, the other day I was looking at my drum set and I was just like, at the risk of sounding conceited, I'm like, that drum set's pretty awesome. And I will be playing a different one in Europe, but I feel so fortunate to be able to do this, on 14 years now, to go ahead and still be touring and have all these people coming out and, people still watching the music videos on YouTube and buying the albums. We had our first single go platinum recently. And so, and for us to be at that level, I feel so fortunate and so grateful for all the fans and, for you. Thank you so much for having me
I,
today. I appreciate it.
yeah, I thank you for having the time. And, with those 2 years of pandemic, did you thought, that you have to go a different route in your life? Did you felt that? I mean, in Europe, I think we felt more because the
Uh-huh.
lockdowns were way stricter, and it was really fucked up. But
Yeah, it was bad.
yeah,
It was really bad. I was watching it, the news from the States, and at some point I had to turn it off because they just had like a little running number in the corner of the screen of how many people died that day. And I shouldn't be laughing about that, but it was so bad. And just seeing the numbers and seeing all these different cities and countries on, they can't be out. And even, we had lockdown restrictions in the US, but I never thought that I had to change. I was going to have to change my career. I just thought that modifications would have to be made as far as touring or how are we going to do this? We did some live streams, and so I started thinking, is this what concerts are going to be now? I did have a feeling that eventually we would come out of so many restrictions, and the world would eventually have to open up and deal with it. But I didn't know if that was going to include touring and having like rock concerts and stuff. And, in America, so many people didn't want to get, the vaccine or wear masks or, there was always this pushback.
yeah.
And, I didn't know if a lot of people were going to be coming to shows anymore. And, I guess it was a scary time. I never did think that I'd have to like completely change my career because I just thought, all right, well, we'll just keep recording music and releasing it that way. And maybe, I don't know. But I kind of did have a feeling that eventually this would have to end, and maybe that was just the optimistic side of my brain telling me that. But yeah, I never thought I'd have to like change. I don't even know what I would do if I had to switch careers. Like, oh my god, I don't even want to think about that at this point.
Yeah, it's better not. And now everything is going smoothly. Obviously, there's rising costs for touring and all that. And actually, I was just reading on the news that Live Nation from today they decided to cut the merch, to end the merch cuts that they were doing on venues and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
So it was something that affect you guys much when you go play, and I don't know if you guys work with Live Nation or, what's the arrangement you guys have there when touring. But do you feel affected with the merch cuts and all that?
Yeah, I don't really see the numbers until the end of tour, and I mean, anything we could get because there are rising costs. It is tough to tour. Buses are expensive. We don't even have a full complete day off here. We have hotels for all of the band and crew, and we don't even get to sleep in this room overnight. And that comes out of our funds and stuff. And so it just kind of things like that just kind of push us to create new ways of generating revenue and stuff. Yeah. And so we try to think outside of the box and do personalized meet and greets, or maybe like offer some bundles that include like a vinyl album or something. And we it just kind of forces us to be a bit more creative on how we could kind of create income to sustain us on the road, and us as individuals, so we could actually do this and not have to go work in an office. Or I used to work in a hospital, and at this point I was just talking about it last night. I don't know if I'd be able to go back and work for the hospital, just because I wasn't very happy in that life. I didn't feel like I was living up to my full potential, not knowing that I was capable of doing this as a living, and having that skill set as a musician. I just felt like I wasn't completely maximizing my potential at that point. And so, I'm not going to say I hated it, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. And, I really like helping people, but, some of the people I'd have to deal with, I was just like, oh man, it was tough.
Yeah. And let's talk about the upcoming European tour with Hailstorm. Some shows are sold out. The Lisbon show is sold out. Nice. What can you expect? Because, as we said, it's our first time in Portugal, not your first time in Europe, obviously. Uh-huh. What will the fans expect from that tour? Do you have an idea how long the set is going to be? Do you have any idea? What can you expect? Because, let's say, a country like Portugal, you never played. Some fans probably want to hear, older stuff. Are you guys going to try, when it comes to the playlist, to juggle a bit with the countries you haven't played and maybe bring something back? Oh, that's
for sure. We try to always have a good spread of early songs from our career. Kind of the classics, so to speak. Some songs sprinkled throughout our career, and some of the newer ones. And so we haven't completely solidified that set list. I don't know if we're going to modify it from what we're playing here in the States. I would imagine we would. But we do try to cover all the bases. That being said, every time somebody's unhappy, play this song, play this song, play this song. And like sometimes it's songs we've never played as a band live ever. And some songs just don't translate, performing live or during a live set. And so, it's going to be an interesting time. But I'm very excited to tour with Hailstorm. I've hung out with Lizzie and RJ and the other guys like a couple times, throughout the past 14 years that I've been doing that in this group. And they've always been nothing but kind. They were incredible musicians. Yeah. So it'll definitely be a really nice sight to see them perform every night, and I'm just a fan of their music too. And so I really appreciate when people are incredibly talented, like everybody in Hailstorm, but they're also kind and nice, and they don't have that quote unquote rock star ego and the arrogance that you see sometimes in the music industry. And so it's going to be a really enjoyable time. And I think that both of the bands will kind of it's always nice to tour with a really talented band because I don't want to say there's a rivalry, but I guess there'd be kind of like a friendly. I don't know, but when we did like the Trinity of Terror tour, everyone like stepped up their game, and it is it kind of elevates you as a musician, or elevates me, I should say, as a musician touring with such a talented band. And so I think that there will be not a rivalry or a competition, but kind of a level and a precedent that is set, that it brings out the best in everybody. And so I'm very excited for that. And I can assure the fans, in Lisbon and every other European city, they're going to get a great show. And so by both bands, I can promise that.
Yeah. I went to Dublin last year to see Hailstorm with Alter Bridge, and I had gone, early in the year to see them headline their own show in Dublin as well. And, they are so good live. Lizzie, that voice, it's probably the best rock voice, at the moment. Nothing against Andy. I love his voice, but Lizzie, when she pushes her voice, get out of the way. She's amazing.
Yeah. Andy's a phenomenal singer as well. He's such a great performer, and it's an honor to share the stage with him every single night. The way he just gets these reactions out of fans and gets them going is really exciting. But, hearing Lizzie sing, I happen to have heard some isolated vocal tracks of her recently. And, we're just talking about how incredibly talented she is. And so it's going to be an honor to tour with her and hear her sing every day. And, me as a drummer, to see RJ perform, he's always super entertaining to watch. And so I'm very excited to tour with both of them.
Yeah, the thing about RJ is like it brings me back to the 80s. I was born in 75, so I grew up listening and watching, all the 80s stuff from LA and all that. And the drummers would give a show, and that's what RJ does. And, I remember actually I saw you guys in Download 2015. And it was the only time I saw the Black Veil Brides.
Oh, okay.
It was such an awesome show. And I was like, why aren't they not playing in Portugal? And, after so long, finally.
I know. I'm so grateful to come there because I don't think we've ever been to Portugal as a group. And I'm excited to perform there, to meet all the fans there, and just see the city and the country and stuff. I love traveling. I love trying food from all different sorts of places, and I'm just very excited to be going someplace new. I think we're going to Portugal for the first time. We're also visiting Croatia for the first time. There might be I think we've played Slovenia before. I'm not exactly sure. It's so hard to keep track at this point, And so, like I always tell people, I've been to 46 countries, give or take, because sometimes when you're traveling and performing night after night after night after night, you kind of lose track. And now, last time we did like a full-fledged European tour, it was such a long time ago. It's so hard to remember. And so I just feel so fortunate to be able to go back there. When I was told that we're doing, a full-on European tour, I was really excited.
Yeah, and I was pasteurizing the promoter about bringing Hailstorm, and I told him, without knowing that the tour was going to happen, and I told him, you also have to bring the Black Veil Brides. And
thank you.
And he kind of smirked, and I was just looking at him, and I was like, okay, you don't think they are, I didn't know what was he thinking, but when he announced, it was like a couple of weeks after the tour, and I was just so delighted. Especially,
awesome!
It's going to be two great bands, and I'm really, really excited for December.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we could probably thank you for telling the promoter to bring us there. So thanks so much for the request.
I just annoyed him, and obviously he probably had the idea already, but and I'm sure because the show sold out so quickly, I'm sure next time you guys come here, it's going to be a bigger venue, and it's probably going to be even better anyway. But let's just talk about the Phantom Tomorrow, the latest record, another concept record. Is it easy, it's easier when you guys are on the songwriting process mode, when you have a concept in mind, makes it everything easier because you know what's going to happen, so to say, or it's a bit more difficult?
You know, it's kind of a marriage between the story and the music. And so, you know, combining the two is what's the interesting part about doing a concept record. And so, you know, Andy will come up with an idea and a concept, and I mean, we all create music together, but it's kind of combining the two and trying to, yeah, figure out how the record is going to sound as a whole. And so we'll have songs and we'll just make a bunch of songs. And then, you know, at the end of it, we'll try to see what will fit where, how we're going to, you know, tell the story. Andy will match the lyrics or write lyrics to every song and, you know, have kind of the idea in his head where he's going to go with it. But at the end of that process, if we're missing something, you know, there have been times where we're like, oh, we need a slower song or maybe something a bit more cinematic or things like that. And so it definitely does pave the way on, you know, knowing that we're going to do a concept record, it paves the way on how the album is going to sound. But I think that, you know, when the concept is thought up and created, that we don't necessarily have all the music ready yet, or, you know, things like that. So overall, I guess that, you know, we kind of do try to tap into the concept idea. But, you know, when we're there creating song after song after song in the studio, I think that we kind of have to remove ourselves from that idea at certain times and, you know, musically. And then if we're missing or lacking, you know, a certain vibe that we want to get across, or, you know, the album as a whole is kind of missing a certain element, then, you know, at the end, we'll try to make that. Or, you know, even during the process, sometimes we'll be like, okay, let's have something that's cinematic. Or, you know, sometimes we tell Jinx to do some strings or, you know, do like kind of an overture type thing. And, you know, all of those ideas definitely coincide with the idea of like creating a concept album.
Yeah. And what about the, you know, the idea of playing the album from start to finish? Because, you know, sometimes concept records are for that, you know, to play from start to finish. Obviously, for a band, it's becoming difficult because with Veil, it's interconnected with Wretched. Are you guys considering ever, you know, playing those records from start to finish? Make a special show, let's say, where you play those records from start to finish. Is that something that crossed your mind yet?
You know, we have thought about that. During the pandemic, we did do live streams, and it was for the re-release of We Stitch These Wounds, and we called that Restitch These Wounds. And we did play that from beginning to end, the whole album. And so that was a really interesting way of doing it. And so we did talk about maybe in the future doing some of the other albums, you know, such as Set the World on Fire, Veil, or Wretched and Divine, and, you know, now The Phantom Tomorrow. I don't want to sound like one of those musicians that say, you know, oh, our newest album's my favorite. But I think that personally, what I was going through at the time, I was going through a lot of different struggles in life. And I think a lot of the lyrical content and just the vibe and me personally going into the studio and creating that album really meant a lot to me. And so, you know, I have different favorite aspects from different albums throughout our career, but I am definitely very proud of The Phantom Tomorrow. And that's 100% an album that I would love to play from start to finish at some point.
Yeah, I think it would be a great idea. And, you know, recently you guys also did a collaboration with thhe, with the Sisters of Mercy cover. How did that come about? Obviously, because you guys were going to do a tour together, which, you know, was handy as well. But how did that collaboration came about for that song?
So we were in the studio. This is when we were recording, you know, The Phantom Tomorrow, and we had even, you know, some extra songs that we released. And we did this cover, and it wasn't exactly as we hoped it'd come out. So we kind of pushed it to the back burner. And then, you know, we kind of reworked the song a bit, and we didn't really know what to do with it. And then, this tour was happening. And I remember Andy telling me, he was like, well, we asked Bill Vallow if he could, you know, sing on it, and we'll see what we get, and hopefully we could use it. So after we reworked it, and it was kind of just floating around, we didn't know what to do with it. You know, we got his lyrics back on it, and we just thought that this would be a good song to release to promote the tour. And, you know, it was an interesting collaboration. We did a video with him for it in LA. You know, Andy and him did a photo shoot. It's on the cover of a magazine in the US here called Outburn. And, you know, it's just just kind of works. And this tour just works with the, the demographic of Ville Valo and Black Veil Brides. It just goes hand in hand. It's so nice to see, fans will show up and they'll have a Black Veil tattoo and, the heartogram tattoo. And it's so cool to see both worlds combine and, finally do a tour like this with him.
Yeah, I think I saw Ville Valo here in Lisbon, early in the year. And one of the things that I realized, and I think with you as well, with Black Veil Brides, it's the dedication and the passion the fans have regarding the music. It's almost religious.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, we even named the tour the Church of the Wild Ones. And, it is almost religious. It's crazy, the dedication. I'm so incredibly grateful for each and every fan. I mean, like every day, like I don't know if I can show you this. I have this like band. It says Coma on it, and then they have another one here that says BBB. Every day, fans are like giving us gifts and drawings and these bracelets. And if I put them all on, it'd go all the way up my arm by this point. But they have tattoos, and every single day, I've been listening to you since I was 9 or 10, or found out about you when I was 12, and now I'm 20 something, or, I'm 30 something now listening to you. We had a fan the other day, and she made me so happy. It was this woman that was 70 years old, and she came up, and she wasn't like, some weird person or anything, just a normal 70-year-old woman that showed up to the show by herself, and she was just so excited to see us. And I've been listening to you guys since the beginning, and seeing young fans that are in all black with makeup, and then an older 70-year-old woman at the same show enjoying the same music. That just, I can only attribute that to being on stage with the rest of the guys in the band, and, the impact that we as a band have made on people. And I feel so fortunate to even be in the position to have that impact on people. And it's just so cool to see. And they were absolutely rabid. The other night, they were standing in the rain for over 3 hours after the show, and I had a bunch of business to do on my laptop. So I finally got kicked out of the dressing room. And I go to the bus, and they're like shaking, freezing. I'm like, what are you guys still doing here? And they're like, waiting for you. I'm like, go home. You're going to get sick. Like, what are you doing? But I didn't know they were out there, and I felt so bad to keep them waiting. But, they'll just go at any length to, catch a glimpse of us or get a photo with us or, get an autograph. And I'm just so appreciative of, their dedication, because that's what's fueled our career for 14 years now. And, we do get to go to new places and perform for new people. And we're still playing awesome shows, and people are still coming out. So I feel so fortunate for that.
Did you ever had any issue? Because, I know Andy had people showing at his place, and, absolutely crazy people, that do crazy things.
Yeah.
But do you ever felt like threatened, or like in the sense of, okay, I appreciate you, but this is too much?
Oh yeah, all the time, all of the time. And I don't want to complain, because I do feel very grateful and fortunate to have people that care, and so the day that you don't feel that way is the day that you have to start worrying about your longevity as a musician and your career as a musician, if people even really care. But there are certain aspects. I won't go into detail because people might see this and get offended and know I'm talking about them. But there are certain aspects that are a bit too much. And I will say something. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, and I recently moved to an area called Scottsdale, Arizona, and developing new friendships and meeting people when I go out. I'm like, oh yeah, we're friends. And then it just becomes like way too much. Just like, oh, wish I didn't give him my phone number, like stuff like that. But there are people that are respectful, but there's things like that. There are fans that go like too much, and you're just like, come on. But at the end of the day, that all of that being said, I just, again, still feel so it's a good problem to have, and I feel so fortunate to have that. And like I said, once stuff like that stops happening, that's when I kind of have to worry about, like, oh, I got to start thinking about doing something else in my life. And so, it's I guess it is a good problem to have, albeit irritating at times. But it's good.
Yeah. And just wrap it up. Obviously, you're going to do the tour in December, November, December. After that, with the Phantom Tomorrow being the latest record, are you guys already thinking about music, or are you just going to keep pushing on touring into 2024?
We are already working on new music. Yeah, we're already working on some new music. I don't know when that's going to be released. I have a very secret project that's being worked on that I know that you're going to absolutely love and enjoy. I cannot comment on that at this point because I have to, keep my lips sealed. But yeah, so we are working on new music. It is incomplete as of, right now. We will be working on that in January. We don't really know if we're going to be releasing music as singles or do an EP or a full-length album. And so it kind of just, we'll see how we feel at the end of the tour. We'll see how much traction the new music gets, and that'll determine whether or not, we're going to do a full-length album or, do some stuff. But there will be some new music in the near future to keep everybody excited for the band and stuff like that. And, for us to potentially play live, we play the same songs all of the time. And so it'll be, fun to add something new to the set and perform that live. Hopefully we could do that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Very good. Cece, thank you very much for your time. All the best for this American tour. I'm really pumped to see you guys.
Yeah. I'd love to meet you in person. Thank you so much for having me, and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time as well. And I'd love to meet you in person. So whenever we play there, make sure you say hi.
Yeah.
Shake your hand and meet you in person.
I'll talk to the promoter. I'll try to go backstage and just say hello because I really don't like to bother, the musicians when they're on tour because I know you guys, are tired and everything. But I like to say hello. Just say, hey, good to see you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Portugal. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see you in person. We don't even, like I was saying, we don't even have a full day off here. So I don't even get to sleep in the bed overnight. And I'm so tired already. And I'm like, oh man. And I'm thinking, like, I'm talking about the European tour. Then we got to do like the time zone differences and like, we're going to be at the end. But after that, I think I'm sticking around Europe with my wife. I'm trying to convince her to come join me so we could just bounce around to all these different countries and do some sightseeing together. And I'll just take like really nice long vacation and hang out in someplace different, other than home. Yeah. And so it'll be nice. But I'd love to meet you in person. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
And if you like food, Portugal is the right place for you to be.
I'm so thin, you wouldn't imagine it, but I am definitely a foodie. I love trying new foods. I love trying, different cuisines from different areas of the planet. That's one of my favorite byproducts of touring and being a musician. It's really nice to be able to, try some different foods from new areas and different, culinary tastes for my palate. And so I will 100%, I promise you on my life, I will definitely be trying some new stuff when I'm there. I'm very excited. I'm already very excited for it. I'm already I'm making a list of which restaurants to go to in Europe and where to order from on my days off and stuff like that. I've already talked about it with my wife, and that's definitely a new place that I'm going to be looking forward to trying out some new stuff.
Cool. Very good, Cece. Thank you very much for your time. All the best for the tour, and I'll see you in Lisbon early December. As I said, I'm excited. I'm pumped to see you guys with Hailstorm. It's going to be a hell of a night, and can't wait. Anxious.
Yeah. Likewise. I can't wait to perform for you. I'm really excited to be heading over there because it's just a whole different vibe from US, and we haven't been over there in a while, and I expect the fan base to be a bit more energetic than some of the cities in the US. They're like, we just saw you a couple months ago. We're over there. We haven't been in a long time. So I have a feeling that they're going to be maybe slightly more excited to see us there.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. If I know the Portuguese crowd well, you guys want to come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to go there for the first time, and then hopefully a second, and third, and fourth time.
Hopefully, will be the first of many. Cece, thank you very much for your time. All the best, and I'll see you in Lisbon. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.